Today on Munson Made This, we are going to the dollar store.
Brian Little.
On Munson Made This, I make vegan food, so if you want to watch more vegan cooking videos, definitely subscribe to this channel. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, something I haven't ever done before. I'm going to be going to the dollar store, spending $5, and then coming back here and trying to make a delicious meal with that food. So I'm going to take the camera along with me, or I'll be taking Ben with the camera along with me, and hopefully we can film there, and then we'll pick up some food, come back here, and make something delicious for y'all. All right, we are about to go inside the Dollar Tree. The reason I chose Dollar Tree is because this is really close to my house. It's like a block away, essentially. I've already been inside here once to kind of check and see what they have, so I do have some ideas of what I want to make. I don't think they have really any fresh or frozen, like produce or food here. It's all gonna be canned and prepackaged. Like I said earlier, I'm gonna try to spend $5 here, and yeah, let's go inside and go shopping. I was thinking, I wonder if I could like take this that already has like it's beans and rice. It says it's vegetarian. Like blend this up and try to, because it already has the grain and the beans. So I've been looking around. I kind of had an idea of doing like a lentil meatball. I have found carrots, and I've also found mashed potatoes and a toy for Odie. I'm thinking maybe going to like a cheese sauce route. So potatoes, carrots, and then putting it on some sort of pasta, and then there's some chipotle peppers down there, so that's 4. So I think I might end up getting the lentils and doing like a chipotle pasta, and then still try to make a lentil meatball using some of these potatoes as like a emulsifier. I think I'm gonna commit to that. Chipotle mac and cheese with lentil meatballs. All right, this should be it. Let's go check out. We just got back from Dollar Tree. As you can see in the clip, there weren't any fresh vegetables or produce at all. There wasn't even a freezer section, so everything had to come from that aisle of packaged food. So I got some mashed potato flakes and some carrots and some chipotles that I'm going to make a sauce out of. And I'm going to use salt and pepper from my own kitchen here, but I'm not going to use nutritional yeast, which I would normally use. Oh yeah, I got these glasses also. Forgot I even had them on. I'm not going to use nutritional yeast because that's not something that I could have gotten at the dollar store. So I'm trying to keep this as close to what I could actually acquire there as possible. So this is going to be a sauce, like a Chipotle cream sauce. Of course, the elbow macaroni, which is what our noodles will be for the macaroni and cheese. And then these lentils here, which this is one of the few things, other than, I mean, they had a bunch of canned beans, but this is a really great source of protein. You got a lot of bang for your buck in here. There's, I don't even know how many cans worth in this bag, so this is a great deal for $1. So I'm gonna boil these up, cook up the macaroni, and then it should probably take about 20 or so minutes to cook the lentils. After that, then I will try to assemble the balls. I'll probably use a little bit of the potatoes as a binder, maybe blend some of the lentils up so they stick together, and probably add a little bit of carrot in there just for some color. And then we should have a pretty delicious lentil meatball chipotle mac and cheese dish. So I'm kind of excited for it. So first thing to do is cook the lentils. I've already got some water set to heat back there. I'm gonna rinse these off. I'm probably only gonna cook about a cup of these, so do it. Here is a cup of lentils that I have rinsed off, and I'm just putting them into some water. It's probably about 4 times as much water as lentils. Normally I like to cook my lentils in my Instant Pot. It takes about 13 or so minutes on high pressure and then quick release, and they're usually perfect, but not everybody has access to an Instant Pot. So I'm just gonna be cooking it this way, stovetop today, just to make it a little bit more accessible. So as soon as this comes up to a boil, I'm gonna turn it down to low, and there's no salt or anything in this water, just so I can control the seasoning a little bit more on the other side. So as soon as this comes to a boil, turn it down as low as it'll go, let it go for about 20 or so minutes, start to test it out, and as soon as they're done, we'll try to make them into the meatballs. I have a pot of water here that's going to be for the macaroni, and I'll just get that going as soon as this water comes up to temp. But I think it's a good time now to start throwing ingredients into a blender and start to create this Chipotle cheese sauce. The water for the macaroni has come up to a boil, so I want to pour a couple of cups worth in that hot water. It is already salted, and cook it for the amount of time that it requires. I haven't looked at the bag yet to see what that is, and then I'll strain it, and this can just set aside until we're ready to assemble. The pasta and lentils are cooking behind me, so while those are working, I decided to try and get this sauce working. Normally with a potato carrot cheese sauce, you have 2 parts potato to 1 part carrot. So like 1 cup of potatoes, a half cup of carrot. So looking at kind of the instructions here, I'm seeing that it's kind of a 2-to-1 ratio, or sorry, 1-to-1 ratio for the potatoes here. So like 1 cup of potatoes and 1 cup water should equal 2 cups of potatoes. So that's what I'm gonna kind of go with here. So let me, because I do want to save some of these potatoes in case I need to thicken up the sauce a little bit more. And I also want to use it as a bit of a binder in the meatballs. So let's put the potato flakes in there. And then I want a half cup of these carrots. They're so like perfectly cut. And then I'm gonna start out with like a smaller amount of water, and I'm gonna just get the kind of the cheese sauce base done first, and then figure that out, and then we can add the chipotle. So half cup of the carrots. Wait, it should be a cup of carrots, right? If I'm doing 2 cups of potatoes. Gotta get my ratios right. So a cup of carrots. If it's too carroty, that's not a big deal. And then I'm gonna add about just a cup of water. Let's start with about 3/4 of a cup. And I haven't salted this or seasoned this at all yet. Again, I'm just really concerned about the texture right now. So let's throw this in the bullet, or it's already in the bullet. Let's throw it on and see if we can sauce it up. After about a second on the blender there, I realized there's not enough water at all. So I'm just gonna free pour maybe like about a half cup more in there. If I end up having it too thin, I can always just put it on the stove and thicken it that way. All right, let's try this again. Still too thick. Smells like baby food. I mean, I guess it kind of is, right? Blended potatoes and carrots. We're still way too thick. Still working through the sauce. It's still a little bit thick, but the pasta was finished, so I'm just gonna drain this. And because this is gonna be hanging out for a while, I'm just gonna rinse it off with some cold water and let it hang out until we're ready to sauce it up. The texture is coming along. I added just a little bit more water, and now I'm going to add the chipotles and a pinch of salt. Let me grab a different fork for those. And we like spicy things, so I'm gonna start out with 2 and maybe a little bit of that sauce. And then I'm just gonna add a bit of salt as well. I'm actually really excited for this. I haven't had like a macaroni and cheese, especially like a Chipotle macaroni and cheese in quite a while, so I'm excited. Here we go. Oh, let's open it up and see how it's looking. Looks pretty good. Maybe on the thicker side, but that's okay. I'd rather have it a little bit thicker right now than too thin. Let me just give it a little taste. It's pretty good. I think I'm gonna add a little bit more salt, probably some pepper as well, but I think it's a pretty good start considering it's just instant potatoes, some canned carrots, and a little bit of chipotle pepper, so I'm happy with it so far. The cheese sauce is done, tastes pretty good. The pasta is cooked, just hanging out and waiting. And the lentils are now done, and they actually took exactly 20 minutes to get how I wanted them. So I'm going to, look how much just that 1 cup grew. So I'm gonna drain these And then my idea is to blend up half of them and then keep the, not blend up half, blend up like 1 cup of them and then keep another cup of them whole and mix those together and then try to get them bound together. And then we'll throw them into the oven. Not sure what's triggering the dogs. Throw it in the oven on about 400 degrees and try to cook them up. All right, so let's measure up a cup, and these are going into the blender. And I just want to break them down a little bit just so we have something that'll hopefully keep the balls together. And then I'll put another cup worth in this bowl. I also have some of the carrots that I cut up just so it'll add a little bit of color and maybe even a little bit of flavor. And then Ben and I are actually having a bit of a debate about the other binder that we need. So because I want to just stick with what we have, I want to try to use the potatoes. If the potatoes don't seem to work as a binder, I am prepared to use oats. I did see oats at the dollar store, so I feel like I would be safe to use some of those if the potatoes don't hold together. So let's blend this up and then we'll mix it all together and see where we're at. Also, this is unseasoned, so I'll need to salt it in a minute as well. And it didn't blend that well. Oh, I just needed it to be broken down a little bit so that it's sticky. Looks like it worked. And then I'm also going to add salt and a little bit of pepper right now. Just a generous pinch. So I added salt and pepper to this. Trying to figure out if it's legal or not to use some like onion powder and garlic powder. And I do think these would be things that people generally have on hand. So I'm gonna add them. I did see these at the dollar store, so yeah, I make the rules, it's legal. So add some garlic powder and onion powder, and let's mix this together and see how the texture is. So there's still some moisture from the lentils. The cup of ground lentils isn't doing enough to hold it together. So at this point, I'm going to add some of the potato flakes. And as soon as I think that this will stick together into balls, I will form them. Things aren't sticking together yet. Let's add a little more potatoes. And I think I'll add just a little bit of water too, just to help the moisture, and that'll just make it a little bit more sticky. But it does smell really good. It could just be the garlic powder, but I really like lentils. Great source of protein, easy to find. I'm going more potatoes and a little more water. So it's kind of like shepherd's pie in a ball. Like, maybe not. I've made lentil shepherd's pie before. That's kind of what it reminds me of. Let's see if it'll ball up. Okay, so it'll form balls. I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm gonna form a bunch of these balls and throw them onto a baking sheet, and then I'll get them into the oven. All right, I set up a little balling station here, have my baking sheet, have my scoop, and I'm just gonna ball these up, make them loosely at first, and I'll go through and make them a little bit nicer. Hope these work, hope they stay together. Not sure what the final texture will be. Hopefully they're not just too dry and like sawdust. I realize there really isn't any fat in this dish whatsoever. I didn't buy anything that really had any fat to it, nothing with any oil. So I don't know if that'll be a problem. Okay, just my slight OCD checking in here. All right, these are ready to go. I already have my oven preheated. And they're gonna go in there until I think that they're nice and brown. I'll probably end up flipping them over at some point as well. So, yep, in the oven they go. The lentil potato balls have just about another minute left in the oven. And while they've been cooking, I put the sauce in a pot back there to warm up. The noodles are still hanging out. We'll mix those together in a minute. But I also cleaned up the kitchen and started to store or put into containers the leftover ingredients. I still have a ton of noodles, quite a bit left of the potatoes, carrots, chipotle, lentils, cooked and not. So I'm interested in what you all would make with these same ingredients. I've got another meal for 2, 3, maybe 4 people's worth of stuff here that I don't know what to do with. So if you guys have any ideas of what I could do with these, or maybe what I should have done with these ingredients, definitely comment below and let me know what I should have done or still can do with these. So having said that, let's go ahead and take these balls out of the oven. I would say in total these took about 30 minutes. And I actually did crank up the oven a little bit more, so they were on 425. And I flipped them over about halfway through. Some of them stuck a little bit, but I think in the end they came out pretty crispy. There's some brown on there. One thing also that I tasted one to see how it was going, and the potato comes out a lot more than I thought. It's definitely got like a potato croquette kind of thing, but I'm not mad at them. I think they're pretty delicious, and they're gonna add some good protein and some bulk to this meal. All right, so these are gonna just hang out here. I'm gonna add the pasta to the sauce, get that all mixed up, and then we'll plate it up and dive in. To bring the noodles back to life, I just rinsed and drained them in hot water a couple of times, and they're just like fresh as if they just came out of the, well, hot water. So I'm gonna stir this up here. I'm not sure how much of the sauce I'm gonna use. I did add a little bit more water to the sauce while it was heating up, just so it was a nice texture. And because I was allowing myself to use garlic powder and onion powder in the balls, I decided to allow myself to use them in the sauce as well. So that helped to bring up the flavor just a little bit more. All right, this looks pretty good. I think because the balls have a slight dry appearance, I'm going to just maybe sauce the top of them a little bit on the end. So this is ready to go, ready to be plated up. I'm actually really excited for this. Just a side note before I plate this all up. This is kind of just like a base recipe. As I was tasting things and kind of figuring things out, I felt that it definitely needs some onions. It needs some freshness to it. And the store that I went to obviously didn't have any of that, so I worked with what I had. But I think this is a great base recipe for you to kind of play with the flavors a little bit more and add some more textures to it. May come out a little bit flat if you just use these $5 sets of ingredients here, but I'm definitely really happy with it as just kind of a base or a starting point for another dish. But let's plate it up. Put a generous amount of the pasta here. I think this could serve probably about 3 people with the amount that I made, maybe even a few more. Not a few more, 1 more maybe. And then I'm gonna top it with a couple of the balls here. And then, like I said, I'm gonna put just a little bit of the sauce over the top just to help kind of moisten up the balls a little bit. I think that looks pretty good. So here we have our $5 Dollar Tree Chipotle cream pasta with lentil and potato balls. Ready to taste it. I made myself another bowl of this because that last one just looks so good and I need to take photos. So I decided to make myself another one, which I will be eating the entirety of this on Munson Ate This. So if you have not subscribed to that on my Patreon, definitely follow the link below to do that. Sort of my like eating show, after show that happens after I film these videos. I film that. So check that out if you have not yet already. My first impressions of the sauce is it's really good. Putting those 2 chipotle peppers in there, it's pretty spicy. I do think because I didn't have any acid in here, it needs a little bit of depth. It doesn't have like a cheesiness to it, but it's a delicious cream sauce. And the fact that it was just made out of potato flakes and carrots, I think it's a pretty good sauce. Let's try it with the meatball, the lentil balls. These are actually really good. Again, very simple, wholesome, plant-based ingredients. Really healthy. Could pretty much be seasoned any way. I might have even added a bit of the Chipotle sauce to those as well. That would have been really good. But overall, I'm happy with it. The fact that this was $5, I'm gonna get at least 3 servings out of this. Plus I've got a ton of other ingredients still that I can make more food with. So like I said, comment below if you have any ideas of what else I should make with these. And subscribe to this channel if you have not yet already. And definitely give this video a thumbs up if you want to see more of these type of challenge videos. There's lots of dollar stores out there, lots of stores that I would have a great time doing some challenge videos like this with. So definitely comment below if you want to see those. I'm pretty happy with this. Thanks for watching. Sorry about my mouth being full. See you next time with a brand new recipe video. And again, follow the link below to my Patreon if you want to see me finish this and talk a little bit more about my process here. So have a great week. I'll see you next time.